going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Ready Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Matt Llewellyn, and our guy, Mike Andrews of Nothing But Niners. We got a great show planned for you guys this evening. We're going to be previewing the 49ers Week 3 primetime home opener matchup against the New York Giants tomorrow night on Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. I'm going to toss over to the game, but before I do, if you're tuning in on Twitter, head over to youtube.com/49ers Hive. Click like and subscribe while you're there. Join from there so we can see and interact with your comments. We're not ignoring you on Twitter. We just can't see the actual comment. youtube.com/49ers Hive. We are slowly approaching our goal of 8 billion subscribers, taking over the world one person at a time. Matt, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, Zach. A little bit of a short week, kind of weird. You know, it's always weird to go into that Thursday night game. Feels like we just were talking about the 49ers beating up on the Rams and getting out of there with the victory. And that one still is kind of fresh in our minds. And here we go, turn right back around again. And we're going to see the 49ers on Thursday. It's cool to see them, you know, but at the same time, it does get a little worrisome. But, you know, I think this should be one that they can win. They just got to get out of there healthy. You know what I mean?
That's the main thing. That definitely is the main thing. We're going to go through all the injuries in a bit. Mike, how you doing this evening?
I am good, man. Ready to talk some 49ers football with my guys, man. I really missed this, so I'm excited that we kind of got the rushed week here so we can go ahead and get to it a little bit sooner, man. Wednesdays are always fun with you guys.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. All right, guys, like I said, hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Let's get into this show. We got a great one planned for you. Biggest thing, in my opinion, that stood out going into this week was kind of a holdover piece of news from Sunday's game against the Rams, which is Brandon Ayuk and his injury. He has been classified as a true game time decision going into tomorrow night's game. And per, I believe, John Lynch on KNBR earlier today, Matt, they classified it as like a chest shoulder irritation type contusion injury. Is there any concern there if he does play that it could, you know, worsen?
Nah, not really. I mean, that the contusion is just, I mean, really, it's a fancy word for bruise. There's, you know, he landed hard on it, and a lot of people are talking about, oh, it's the turf. It's the turf. It always does that kind of stuff. And, you know, that could be a part of it. But like at this point, it's not a serious injury. The game time decision thing is, honestly, if they were playing on Sunday, he would play. It's because it's so soon afterwards that you got to be like, all right, can he do it? Can he not do it? They did a CT of the collarbone. There's no, you know, microfractures of his collarbone or anything like that maybe wouldn't show up on an X-ray. Otherwise, I'm sure they use contrast to kind of figure that out. But he should be able to play without too much issue in terms of structural, you know, problems popping up. But it's going to be a pain management thing, and you're looking at the level of opponent. And while I think it's dangerous to overlook an opponent, I can see a scenario where the 49ers, you know, maybe say, it's the Giants. They're missing a ton of players. They've gotten bopped by, you know, a bunch of, you know, they bopped by the Cowboys. They were down 28 to whatever it was against whoever they played last week. Can't even remember
Cardinals.
who they played. There you go. The Cardinals, who are the worst team in football. That's why I couldn't remember them. They're like a USFL team at this point in terms of talent. But if you don't need to play him, then don't play him. I would guess that he dresses and then just doesn't play a lot of snaps. That, you know, he'll play very situationally.
Damn. All right. Mike, going into this game, right? 49ers obviously 2-0 start, coming in hot. But the Giants, they were down big. I think it was 20-0 at one point, ended up coming back from a 28-7 deficit or something like that. Ended up winning that game. Are you concerned that now they have a lot of momentum going into this game, or is it still kind of like that's more of a fluke?
I do believe in the momentum factor. 24 unanswered points by the Giants to come back and win that game. And, you know, the NFL really did. This might, if it weren't for the crazy amount of injuries that we're going to go over later, the NFL might have been given the Thursday Night Football a treat here. I think they made this as fair as possible. The Niners were south in LA for their last game. The Giants were a little west in Arizona. Both teams have to go the opposite direction of where they were to get to Santa Clara for the game. I thought the travel time was as even as it could possibly be on a Thursday night game for a short week. They did the East Coast team a favor by having them West the week before. This is probably as good of as a matchup as far as travel time as you're going to possibly get, distance and all that stuff leading up to the game. And then these were two teams that were both in the postseason last year, right? This is the matchup that some people thought we might see later on in the year. There were people that were really buying the New York Giants hype. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see the game that we all were hoping to see. But the Niners do have to be a little cautious heading into this one to not overlook a downtrodden opponent.
I was expecting a really tough matchup. When we did the season preview a month or so ago, I thought this was going to be a big matchup. It's not looking that way. And, we talked about some injuries. We got into Brandon Ayuk. Let's get into the injury report. So Brandon Ayuk, questionable, true game time decision with the shoulder, chest, whatever injury they're calling it. Ambry Thomas is also questionable, which I saw a comment in here from Fernandez Throwback. Per Josina Anderson is expected to play. And then that's it for the 49ers, luckily. The Giants, on the other hand, they're not so lucky. Saquon Barkley is out with the ankle injury, out for 2 to 3 weeks, I believe. And then today, it was just like one after another. Offensive lineman Ben Bredesen, I believe is how you pronounce the name. Concussion. Offensive linebacker Azeez Al-Julari out with a hamstring, and offensive tackle Andrew Thomas out with a hamstring. Those are all there's 4 starters for them that are out. And then questionable inside linebacker Micah McFadden with a neck injury, and wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson with the knee injury. Obviously, Barkley's the biggest name off that list. Matt, I'm going to toss it right back to you. But I think the offensive linemen being out is maybe being a little bit overlooked here by fellow 49ers fans. Or focusing on Barkley. What do you think?
No, I definitely think so. I mean, they paid Andrew Thomas for a reason, and that's a block for Daniel Jones. And the last thing you want against a defensive line as highly touted as the 49ers, who get a bunch of pressure, and you got guys like Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead. We talk about them, right? Kinlaw's getting pressures this season, so he's looking a little better. The last thing you want is to have your offensive lineman out. That's going to be a rough go of it for Daniel Jones back there if he doesn't have the time. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's a guy that will get out of the pocket, but he will take sacks too. So it's not like he's got this innate ability to account for pressure. He's more of like trigger happy with the way that he gets out and runs in space. So 49ers are going to have a lot of opportunity to flush him, and this is going to be their first matchup against a really mobile quarterback this season. I want to see how Steve Wilkes' defense handles it. But with half that offensive line out, I mean, that's a big deal, especially when you add in the fact that Saquon Barkley, who's one of the best, most dynamic running backs in the NFL, isn't going to be back there either. You're looking at our old friend Matt Breida looking to get the start there. So it's ripe for the taking for the 49ers to really, really bother Daniel Jones and company all night long.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. And we're going to get into my bookie, my prop of the game a little bit later. But Mike, am I getting a little too far ahead of myself to say this could possibly be and I'm saying this with the air quotes, get right game for Nick Bosa, who's coming into the week with 0 sacks on the year?
I kind of like it. I like it a lot. Matt talked about this is the first time we're going to be playing a quarterback as athletic or, with the scrambling ability that Jones has. And believe it or not, I sincerely think the Niners used, this is going to sound super disrespectful. I believe that the Niners used the Rams game as a way to practice for it. Not that they thought that Matt Stafford was going to be this athletic, elusive guy running all over the field, but they played so much damn zone. They refused to put their backs, the DB's backs, to the offensive line. Like it was just pass off this guy to this guy, and Puka Nacua was going crazy across the middle of the field all game as a result of this zone coverage that they were playing, just keeping their eyes forward. I think they were kind of preparing. They knew they had a short week. They were going to be running a lot of it against a scrambling quarterback and Daniel Jones. If they can lock up, Waller and Paris Campbell, there's no Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones is going to get sacked even on plays that he's running, and just doesn't gain any yards. So absolutely, I expect Nick Bosa to have 2 sacks this game. One will probably be real. The other one will be one of those tackles at or near the line of scrimmage that he benefits from. But I think he's also going to have a lot of pressures and things like that as well. So and by the way, I think he led the team in pressures this past game as well. So I do think this would be more of a get right game for him.
Okay, I love it. I love it very much. All right, guys. The line, by the way, it's been all week at 10 points, or maybe it was at 9, and then I think it went up to 10 when it was official that Barkley was going to be out. That's a pretty hefty line. The 49ers were favored, I believe, by 8, right? Last week in LA. So 10 points is high.
It was at 8.5 at one point, and then right before the game, this is why that field goal was hilarious at the end of the game.
Didn't it go to 7.5?
It dropped to 7.5, bro.
Yeah.
And then they kicked that garbage field goal to just blow everybody. I thought that was hilarious at the end of the game. I never saw anything
fly
like
on
that.
the wall at like Caesar Sportsbook when that happened, dude. So many people were probably so pissed.
I don't know if it was like their normal press conference or whatever that Sean McVay was doing. I couldn't tell if it was that or in an interview, or a podcast, excuse me. It was a clip on TikTok that came up, and he was talking about it. He goes, yeah, apparently a bunch of people were pissed off at me. I don't pay attention to any of that kind of stuff. Bullshit. I think I wasn't for gambling, but I think maybe in the Shanahan group chat, he sent him a text after like, hey, I covered, fucker, like, I got you. You beat me, but you didn't beat me by what you were supposed to beat me by. So I got you. I did think that was hilarious though. I actually thought watching it, he was hoping to have 1 second left to get the onside kick and maybe a miracle would happen. But the way it played out was, funnier. Mike, no?
Even with the 1 second, when they touched the ball on the onside kick, that second has to tick off. There was no reason for him to do that. There was no reason for him to do that at all, other than like you said, get that text off and let Shanahan know not as good as you thought.
Yeah. Interesting question from Random Donut. What do you prefer, pink lemonade or lemonade? Pink lemonade for sure. Pink lemonade. Do you guys have a preference? No preference.
I like, all right, this is going to sound weird. No matter which one I'm drinking, I like pouring the lemon concentrate juice in there with mad ice. I don't care for the sweetness of either one. I like the tart and then the ice in there, like a lot of ice. I like to let it melt. So I'm good with either one as long as I can add my little concentrate, my lemon juice from concentrate.
Yeah, too sweet for me, typically, both of them. Unless it's like freshly squeezed lemonade that I make that I don't add quite as much sugar to. Just give me water with a lemon in it, actually, over those.
I don't know if you guys have Trader Joe's where you're at. Mike, probably not. You do? Yeah? Oh, okay. They have a really good, I think they call it diet pink lemonade. Not sweet at all. Whole thing, it's like, a jug. Probably like 60 calories for the whole thing. Tastes amazing. My opinion, for a diet. All right. Next thing I want to talk about in this game is the running game. And we've seen Christian McCaffrey now get the bulk of the carries in week 1 and then literally all of the carries in week 2. When Kyle Shanahan was asked about it, he was like, I guess I didn't really pay attention. I need to be better about that. I think he, if I remember correctly, tried to throw in the position coaches in there a little bit, saying, oh, that's kind of how they drew it up, which I call bullshit on. If that's the case, you can't tell me that Kyle Shanahan doesn't have like direct control over the personnel and whether or not Mitchell stood on the sidelines with his helmet on the whole game, ready for his number to get called. Never did. Matt, I would toss it to you. Do we see another full game on a short week of nothing but CMC, or do you think he'll make a point?
I doubt it. I think this is where Elijah Mitchell's going to get some carries. Listen, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if he's lost a little bit of panache or status in the locker room with Kyle Shanahan for the multiple injuries. Remember, he injured in his rookie year, injured both of his knees last year, and then had a hamstring issue in training camp. I just think that I don't think Kyle trusts him, to be honest. And I know that when McCaffrey's cooking, why would you go in a different direction? I worry that it's going to wear him down over the course of the season. So for a game like this, I'd love to see Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason get some carries. You could use Christian McCaffrey, but instead of 20 to 25 touches, get him like 10 touches, hopefully the game's well within hand early and they can kind of pull him out. Although, as he said a couple of weeks ago when he played McCaffrey real late in that Steelers game, he thinks back to that Detroit week 1 debacle, where they were up and almost lost that game. So who knows what's going on, but it is very conspicuous by the lack of touches for Elijah Mitchell. I just feel like there's something going on there that we don't know about.
Mike, any thoughts?
I have a bunch, but I'll try to be super short. One, the 49ers finally have their running back one. They don't want to do the running back by committee. They want to put someone out there that they trust, that they can depend on. Plus, he's getting paid a boatload of money. Him by himself is more than the rest of the entire running back room, including Kyle Juszczyk, who is a highly paid player as well. The other thing is, no offense, Matt, I am so tired of people saying, like, I was like, where was Mason? Oh, well, he had the fumbles in preseason, so you can't play him. Well, where was Mitchell? Oh, well, he gets injured a lot. So then why are they on the team? Don't have them here if you're afraid to use them. That is the worst excuse. And it is driving me crazy because I keep hearing it. It is making me angry. Like, that makes no sense. Don't employ these people if you can't count on them when you need them to do something. You're just going to continue to run Christian McCaffrey between the tackles because we have a game put out of business. So then you lose him, and then what are your options? Are you just going to say, oh, we need more running backs? If you have 2 backups that you can't use, then you have no backups. Like, what are we saying? So,
and they trade for Jonathan Taylor.
Like, come on. Like what are we saying here? They have to do something. They have to get someone that they believe in. Someone's got to, point Kyle to the truth. I don't think that he sincerely didn't know or forgot or overlooked it or anything like that. We weren't doing hurry up offenses or anything. There was no reason that we couldn't have substituted whenever we wanted to throughout the duration of this game. With that said, this game was a lot closer than week 1. I wasn't mad at him taking all the snaps. I feel like every snap for a running back was important in this game in particular. And if he's your best blocker, runner, pass catcher, overall weapon as a running back, cool, use him. But week 1, when we were up by 20 for the majority of the game, we should have been sprinkling some other guys. And I'm not saying like make him sit the whole series, but it would have been fine to let him run to the sideline and just reduce the risk of something unforeseen happening to him. That's all.
Yeah.
I will say I'm not sitting here trying to defend I'm just trying to justify in my mind what Kyle could be thinking, because to me, why wouldn't you run Mitchell? He ran the ball well last year, right? Jordan Mason ran the ball pretty well last year. And I get it. For me personally, I'd like to see them not use Christian McCaffrey so much, the way that they do. It's just, I don't know what's going on there, man. Just really weird to me.
Yeah. I know I'm not the only one in the 49ers community that every single time McCaffrey has a nice run, my brother's been over here watching the games. I turned to him and said, that's how a white man runs a football from the longest yard. Every time he has a big run, bro. It's just.
What does that even mean? What does that mean?
It's from the longest yard. You ever seen the longest yard?
Oh, I've seen it once. Okay.
Yeah, it's
right.
Guards versus inmates and all the guards. Yeah.
That's okay.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
The Sinbad movie, right? Isn't that the one that Sinbad was in?
No, Adam Sandler.
Yeah, Sinbad was in that one, wasn't he? I don't know. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he wasn't in that one. But that's the Prisoners. Nelly was in it, right?
Yep.
Okay, Nelly. There you go. Okay, my bad. My
Brucey. All right. Yeah, I think we're going to see a little bit of Elijah Mitchell as well. I think, call me crazy, but we haven't seen much of George Kittle. We saw a little bit more of him last week against the Rams, finished with a few catches for, 30 yards or so. But I think Thursday nights, George Kittle kind of comes alive. Mike, what do you think? Do you think we're going to see an outing from George?
I do. George Kittle's been working himself back into the good, not so much graces, but just better health. He's been coming back and recovering from, his little ailments here and there. I do think that he is slowly building that football callus, much like what we needed to see from Nick Bosa, right? They're getting used to the chips and the double teams and the constant pressure and contact. And Nick Bosa's kind of ingratiating himself back into this offense. I do think that he becomes a large part of the plan. I actually think Kyle's going to have his full gamut of weapons available to him, minus Brandon Ayuk. I don't expect Ayuk to play. But I think that that's going to be a game time decision. It's going to be all based off of pain tolerance. He's going to say, I'm okay. I think he's going to wince during some kind of little poking or probing test. And they're going to say, no, just sit out. We don't need you this week. Like Matt said, they might actually let him dress. So he, gets the credit for the game and the start and so on and so forth. But I just don't know that they're going to actually play him or utilize his skills in this game. That said, though, Kittle should be back. Kittle is a guy that is built for these kind of games, either the drag him out, smash mouth games that you want to see George Kittle in. It's a short week. Let's go out here and do it. And this is a game that I expect to see Brock Purdy hit his five or six targets. Kittle, Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and then you'll get a random Ross Dwelly sighting or something like that, and maybe a Juwan Jennings. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna do that. Low. Well, I don't know if we're gonna do stat lines and all that stuff. If so, I'll shut up. But I have my expectations for this game as far as the passing attack goes, and it's not a lot.
So I just see a report here from Jordan Schultz that Wan'Dale Robinson is expected to play tomorrow night. I know I listed him earlier as questionable, so I believe it's his debut after tearing his ACL last year. So first game back, see how he looks.
There you go.
I don't know about you guys, but after the way last week went, and we had Brock Purdy, in my opinion, for what I think it's the first time standing up there in the post game with the "I need to do betters," type of speech, missing his deep balls. I think we're going to see some deep balls tomorrow night. I think we're going to see him go for one or two, just simply because of the fact that he missed them last week. And maybe it's like something mentally he needs to clear, get that down. Because those are throws that we saw him make last year, versus Washington down the middle. George Kittle hits that touchdown. Mike, you're giving me the look, but he was hitting these throws. He was getting picked off on them too, but he was hitting them. They weren't sailing over him from what I remember.
The throws were good. He did hit it, but the thing with like the George Kittle one in particular was it was intended for someone else, and they said that George ran the wrong route and stole it from McLeod or whatever, but I do think that we'll see a couple. I agree with what you're saying. I don't think this is going to be a part of his game maybe ever, right? Not to say that he can't ever hit it, right? He literally hit one to Juwan Jennings. He missed Jennings after he missed Ayuk, and then he missed Debo, and then they went back to Jennings with one. It was like a contested catch. He can physically do it. I don't think it's going to be a part of what he does well ever. And so not saying I expect him to be 4 for 4. Like those are the low completion percentage passes in the NFL, not just for the 49ers or for Brock Purdy. But I don't think we should expect that of him. That's not been a part of his skill set. And that's okay. He doesn't have to do that well, but we do have to attempt them because we have to keep defenses honest. We have to make those safeties play back a little bit, especially with how much we do across the middle of the field. You don't want to make the safeties just say, yeah, we don't have to respect that at all. Keep one of those safeties 15 yards plus off the line of scrimmage, and you're only going to do that by sprinkling in some of these deep shots throughout the duration of the game. This is stuff that I was saying since Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback guy, so don't take that as a shot at Brock Purdy. We need to see those attempts down the field just to make them respected, even if they're incomplete. They have to know that it's a possibility. So,
real quick, maybe get Danny Gray in there and you're not overthrowing him. Finally, somebody with some speed.
Is he back off of IR?
I don't think so. Actually.
This is game. Oh no, this is only game 3. I was about to say it's game 4. Never mind.
Yeah, but people were saying, once Trey Lance was traded or wasn't the starting, oh, there goes Danny Gray. We drafted him for nothing. If Purdy's actually attempting these throws, it might be worth the shot to get them some playing time together once Gray comes back healthy. We'll see. I guess. I just want to say real quick too before I toss to Matt. I've seen a lot of this on social media over the past 2 weeks. Last week specifically, where people are like, it's like commentary about the fact that podcasters and content creators aren't allowed to criticize Brock Purdy. And I feel like it's the weirdest shit, dude. Like all people do is criticize Brock Purdy. And it's like, you can't say anything bad about Brock or else everybody's in your mentions. It's Jimmy, if anybody, I think was like that. Trey a little bit towards the end of his time here. Brock, I feel like, is heavily scrutinized Do you guys agree with what I'm saying? Disagree? How do you feel about this? Because it's just been bugging me. Mike, Matt.
Go ahead, Matt. Okay, all right, I got it. All right,
yeah, go ahead.
It's funny. I literally just did a 30-minute Patreon episode venting about how I'm tired of people pretending that you can't critique Brock Purdy.
No way.
I swear to God. I swear to God. So you guys know on Patreon, we do the games live and we watch the games and everything, right? And I said, oh, he's 0 for 3 or 0 for 4. Like, this just isn't what he does well, but that's okay. We'll get him. And Tony like blew up on me, right? He's like, what are you talking about? He can do it. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, time out. Relax, buddy. Like, I've seen him do it before. I'm not saying he can't physically do it. He's not capable. He doesn't have the arm strength. I'm saying this is not, part of what he does that he does well. And that's okay. We're in game 8. It's not a big deal. He started to say, oh, here you go. You want Kyle fired. You want Trey Lance back. I'm like, I didn't say any of that shit. Like, and that's the part that people get defensive about. You say one thing about Brock Purdy, and what people hear is, I don't want him as a quarterback. And that's the part that's driving me crazy. I'm allowed to observe and state what I see without you just assuming I don't want him here or I want someone else. That's the part that drives me crazy. And that's the part that I hate when I see it on social media, on other people's pages and content creators. Like, you see it in the chat as soon as you start watching and you say something about Brock Purdy. Oh, well, Jimmy didn't. I don't care. I'm not talking about Jimmy. Oh, well, Trey Lance I never said anything about Trey Lance. I'm just telling you what I see right now happening before my eyes. That doesn't have anything to do with Matt Stafford. That doesn't have anything to do with Patrick Mahomes or anybody else. Brock Purdy did X, Y, or Z. I should be allowed to say that without that turning into something else. And that's what I did my entire rant about. I was going off on that rant. I just send you guys the video. Check out the Patreon, guys. Patreon.com/NB9ERS. Matt, the floor is yours.
Yeah, it's like they're going from the following page to the For You page, and it gives them something outside of their echo chamber. Either nobody gives Brock Purdy credit, or everybody criticizes Brock Purdy, and it's ridiculous. I just feel like everybody is turning the wheels in the opposite direction, and the car is just crashing itself over and over and over again. You know what I mean? It's like when you have the guy in the passenger seat when you're taking your driving test, and one guy's hitting the gas and the other's hitting the brakes, so you're just spinning donuts. It's ridiculous. The fact that people think that you can't criticize Brock Purdy at all. I just the whataboutism is crazy. Like Mike brought up, people be like, well, Jimmy, or well, whatever. Trey never played with CMC. Like, it goes both ways, right? Like, Brock doesn't get credit because he got Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle and all the weapons, right? But then at the same time, it's like, if you criticize him, Brock Purdy, they'll be like, well, he won just like Jimmy G won. Jimmy G couldn't hit the deep ball, but Brock Purdy, it doesn't matter. Blah blah blah. It's so stupid that we can't go. I'm telling you, I'm thinking about like just not going on Twitter, after games, because it's so frustrating to see people snipping back and forth at each other after fucking wins. After wins, all these people do is get into their bitch pouch and pull out all their bitches for the day, and it's just get online and bitch about everything. This is why we can't have nice things. This is one of the best 49ers teams of our lifetime, and we can't enjoy it. We can't enjoy a 2-0 start because these content creators in the mold of certain people get online, and controversy creates clicks, and they're all about that rather than being about what's going on in front of their face. We could possibly and very likely be 3-0 after tomorrow night. Are they going to enjoy it? Fuck no. The minute Brock Purdy, bounces one in the dirt or throws one away or whatever, they're going to complain about it. You know what I mean? They're going to complain about it. And then the other people will go after the complainers. Why are you complaining, bro? Why are you complaining, man? Brock Purdy's the best, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's a never ending. It's like children fighting with each other, right? One kid snatches the toy from the other one, right? And then the other one snatches the toy back. The first kid runs to mom and be like, he took the toy from me. And it's like, well, what'd you do? I took the toy first. Well, what are you complaining about? Like, it's just nothing but back and forth. These content creators need their ass whooped and be put on timeout. Just sit there and enjoy the fucking ride because the team is good. And you don't need to nitpick every little thing, every little throw that Brock Purdy does, okay? Wait for JT O'Sullivan to break it down, somebody who actually knows film. Don't get out there with your fucking NFL Plus all 22, right? Breaking it down, running your little circles like you've ever done shit but drop a play in the dirt in Pop Warner. Like you don't – come on, man. It's ridiculous. Everybody thinks that they're the biggest X's and O's guys. It's eyeballs. Brock Purdy in the regular season has never started a game and not scored 30 points. That is what it is. We can't even enjoy it. I think this is like the third or fourth longest win streak in team history. We're at 12 regular season wins in a row. Are we enjoying it? No. We're talking about Brock Purdy's deep ball in a game where he admittedly did not play his best, and they still scored 30. People need to relax. People need to relax. You get me out.
As a collective Matt rant for all of us, but we're all feeling what Matt just said. I think it's crazy. Mike, I feel like you're waiting to jump in. No, nothing.
I was looking at some of the comments in here, and okay. I thought they were hilarious. I saw the super chat pop up in there. Someone said Mike still doubts Purdy. Like it's just like it's weird stuff. And I know that people like to have fun. I think people know that I'm not sensitive, so they kind of like throw it at me, like they have fun with it. So they know it doesn't bother me. But it's so funny. One of the things that I said during the live was like, oh my God, if it connected with that, 49ers Twitter would blow up. He is Jesus. He is the second coming. If he had connected on that throw, I think it was the one to IU. I think that was the first one. Like if he had just connected on that throw, holy crap, like Twitter would have blown up. 49ers Twitter would have gone crazy.
That was a sick ass route, by the way.
Huh?
That was a sick ass route by IU.
Come on, man. Filthy.
That was so clean.
Absolutely filthy, right? But it's like if that had like I'm saying something good if he had have done X, Y, or Z, but it was like, oh, here you go. Like, you don't think you can do it? No. Timeout, pause. Wait a second. Hear exactly what I said. Just focus on the words that are coming out of my mouth and stop putting your own interpretation on it. Like, and it's just weird. And it's gonna continue to happen. It's not just content creators. Like if you just look at just Twitter, I don't go on Facebook a lot, so you guys won't hear me talk about Facebook, but I've seen Reddit pages and I've seen Twitter comments and threads, and it's seriously like if you say that something negative, I understand defending the guy that you like, but then when 1 + 1 = 42, like something's not right. How'd you get all the way here? Like we were just talking about one person doing one thing, and then that was it. So it's always fun. It's never gonna stop. Here's the one thing I will say about the whole quarterback controversy in San Francisco. They did it right this time. Once you decided on the guy, get rid of everybody else that's going to be hanging over his shoulders or splitting the fan base. Because I promise you, nobody, I don't care what you think about Brock Purdy, nobody wants to see Sam Darnold or Bryant Allen over him. I promise. So that's just where we are.
Hold on, Mike. I got to correct you here. The quarterback is Brandon Allen. Brian Allen was the fucker that gave up 2 touchdowns in the fucking Dolphins game. That guy is he who shall not be named in this show.
I mean, he might as well be the quarterback.
Well.
So
same player, right? Same player.
Real quick before we get to the super chat, the Smitty, Mike still doubts Purdy. I just answer this from my perspective. I don't doubt Purdy, but I am 29 years old, right? I just turned 29 in May of this year. I have never witnessed with my own eyes, maybe when I was a baby, maybe in 94 they won it. So I'm going to slightly doubt whoever it is in here until they actually put a ring on their finger, because I don't care how good you are from August through late January. Like if you're not there in February, does it really matter? So I'm going to slightly doubt him. I'm very impressed and I'm encouraged by what I see out of Brock Purdy. Way over, exceeding my expectations for when he came in versus the Dolphins last year and has continued to do so. I have faith that he'll get it done, but I don't think unless somebody thinks right now that Brock Purdy's a finished product, it's kind of weird to expect nothing more from him. You know what I mean? It's like, unless you're telling me that this is as good as he can be, you're not expecting him to improve on anything. You're not expecting him to improve on accuracy, deep balls, timing. it's kind of weird. Like, yeah, you should kind of doubt him a little bit because he still has to prove it. So,
well, yeah, but at the same time, enjoy what he's giving you too.
oh, for sure.
There's a stat today on throws from like 10 to 19 yards behind or beyond the line of scrimmage. This season, he's at like 92%.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just he does what he does really well, you know. And no, he's not a finished product, but I also think it's a fallacy to be like the only way to measure Brock Purdy's success is if he wins the Super Bowl, because this is such a team dependent game. Brock Purdy could do everything right in the Super Bowl, but if the 49ers don't, like, say the defense for whatever reason just falls asleep at the wheel and gets 40 dropped on their head and we lose 40-38 and Brock Purdy has 4 touchdowns, is that a Brock Purdy issue? No, it's not. I mean, it's the way that it is. Oh yeah, it was Alex Rollins, notorious Purdy hater, throwing out. He's not a hater. He doesn't think he's that good.
Yeah. Critic.
But, I mean, 13 to 14, and it's a small sample size by all means, but he was like 80% last year. So it's pretty good. And he does what you want him to do. He hits the open man with good timing and good rhythm. And that's all you want to do. It's not this thing where, like, I saw, and I don't want to pick on him, but he kind of did it to himself because Justin Fields stepped in his own shit today with all the stuff that he was saying. But when you bring up the film, first of all, when JT O'Sullivan does a 90-minute video on your throws, bro, that's some bad tape. It's got to be. He's not going to sit there and blow smoke up a dude's ass for 90 minutes. But it was a throw. Let's see if I can put it in the chat for you. Where it's like, dude, Purdy would never miss a throw that bad. Fields is staring at a wide open receiver and just does not throw the ball. I mean, he's like wide open. See if we can get that up there.
Is it sharing?
It's still right now, but it's up there, but you need to press play. There we go. And they'll circle it. So the concept is sound. The concept gets that man open, and Fields' head is to the right. I mean, look, he's looking at him. There's nobody there, and he takes off. That's not happening with Brock Purdy. So we got to enjoy what we have because it could be worse. And I'm not trying to just pick on one guy, but there are quarterbacks around the league that routinely miss those type of throws that Brock Purdy makes that make it really, really, easy to underappreciate him. That it's easy to take for granted because it's not a splash thing, right? He's not going to run for 1,300 yards like Justin Fields is. He's not going to make people miss like, Lamar Jackson, although I guess their 10-yard time is like very similar. But again, we talked about it with Trey Lance, and our problem with him was he doesn't make the easy look easy, and Brock Purdy does. And those are the things that people just go, you should make those throws. I mean, yes, you should, but not everybody can. So you can criticize what he doesn't do well. Like, he did miss wide open guys, and you want to see that cleaned up. If it becomes something that's more of a pattern, then hey, let's get to it. But do we know that it wasn't just this game in particular for whatever reason? Let's see what happens going forward. And I agree with Mike and with Zach. I think he's going to have some of those this game, the deeper throws, just to kind of, no, guys, look, I can do it. Because I feel like he's a little bit petty like that too.
Mike, we got some questions in here going back to the super chat from our guy Sean. Mike, what does your take on Purdy have to do with Terry Bradshaw? Purdy is the best quarterback for sample size since Garcia. Think he'll get better at the long ball because he knows that's his kryptonite.
Yeah, I think the kid has a good work ethic, and I don't worry about it at all. I think people are forgetting that this is 8 regular season games. Like, this is not a big deal at all. So it should be exciting to people, like, to think like this kid could get better than what we're seeing, right? So I don't have, and I love how Sean always throws the sarcasm in there, like right at the beginning. What does your Brock Purdy take have to do with Terry Bradshaw, right? Like, and that's the thing. It's like, I say Brock Purdy can't do, so you want Trey Lance. Like, that's what he's doing. It's like tongue-in-cheek humor there. I appreciate it, Sean. Thank you very much for the super chat. We appreciate it, man. Keep them coming.
Yes, sir. And then
so someone named the Smitty. He said, there you go. He says, Mike, I heard you on with Breezy say you're going to pick every QB over Purdy in every matchup. Stop the cap, bro. All right. So on Fridays, Wayne and I do this show called Face Off Friday, and we pick the position of the quarterback and say who is going to have better stats, and we'll say who's going to have more passing attempts, more passing yards? Who's going to have more touchdown passes? Who's going to have more sacks? Who's going to have more interceptions, right? And I said at the very top of the show, guys, don't ever expect me to pick Brock Purdy in many categories over any quarterbacks that we play, except maybe 2 this year. One, this team is a really, really balanced offense. We don't have to throw as much as the Matt Staffords of the world. We don't have to throw as much as the Daniel Jones of the world. So he's going to lose in yards. He's going to lose in total touchdowns. He's also probably going to lose in sacks because we're not dropping back as much. He's also probably going to lose in interceptions because he's not throwing as much. So when I say things, please keep it all in context. In no means am I saying I'd rather have all of these quarterbacks over Brock Purdy. What I'm saying is there's no need for him to throw for more yards than these guys. In all of the 8 games that he's played, only twice has he thrown for more yards than the opposing quarterback. Only twice. And it's none of the games that you expected to be. It wasn't the Washington game. It wasn't the shootout game that was in Las Vegas. It wasn't the blowout against Tampa Bay. You know what I'm saying? Like it's games that you just don't even expect. Wow, he threw for more yards in that game than the other guy. It's 2 times it's happened, not counting the postseason. Not talking about the postseason. I'm only talking about regular season games.
Are you going to tell us which 2?
One of them, I believe one of them was it was a game against shoot.
It's fine. It's fine. I wasn't sure if you had it off the top of your head.
I think one of them was the Washington game. I think it was the 49ers Commanders game. And I can tell you that really quick because I do have that bookmark still here. Brock Purdy finished the game with Heineke finished the game with 166. Oh, that's right. That's why he had more passing yards.
He got pulled.
It was because it was 2 quarterbacks that did it. That's why. Yeah. So Brock Purdy finished with 234 yards, but one quarterback had 166. The other quarterback had 123. So I counted that as one of the 2 games that he threw for more yards than the starting quarterback of the previous game. That means it only really happened one time. So it's not part of the game plan because we don't get desperate. Our defense is really good. Teams get down early and they have to pass. Brock should never throw more passing yards than our opponents. He should never have more attempts. Like this is just what happens when you have a really good, well-balanced team. If we didn't have a really good rush attack, then we should be like, yeah, Brock is probably going to have to do that. But we never ask who's going to score more points. That's not the question. You get what I'm saying? It's about individual stats against individual quarterbacks and their performance in the upcoming game. Brock's never going to win those games. That's not what he needs to do. It's not who he is. So just please keep it in context with what I'm saying.
Yeah. Also, at least at this point in his career, right? Like he's surrounded by talent. If at some point in the future, the 49ers are forced to pay Brock and let some of that talent go, then maybe we would look to expect him to have bigger stat lines because he's shouldering more of the offensive load. But as of right now, it's not really required. We got another super chat here from our guy, Roberto Davis. Purdy is good and should get better. If Kyle is, quote, all in with the real deal, he's good enough for now. If it don't work, we can assign blame then.
All I gotta say is, they put that C on Brock's chest and Brock got hot. Oh, Shantae. Mike knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, you do, Mike. You posted about it. That gridiron, the Bleacher Report gridiron thing.
No, I'm sorry. I was not disagreeing with that. I was on mute. I know exactly what you're saying. I thought that was hilarious, bro.
So funny. You guys should. Yeah, it was like Brock couldn't hang out with none of the players or whatever, and then he got to see, and then like the rest of the players were like, "Ooh, he got hot." There's a link out to that video somewhere. Just go. It's the Gridiron Diaries or whatever from.
It is great. So Kyle funny. Rubbing his finger on his lips.
Yeah, he was like,
I chose you. I got rid of Trey for you. That was phenomenal, man. It was really good.
So good.
All right, guys. Before we get on with the rest of the show, let's pay the bills. And let's thank today's sponsor, which is MyBookie. Guys, we all think we know sports, right? I think I know a good amount of football, but the gentleman sitting here with me know a good amount of football. Why not make some money off this knowledge? Why not take advantage off this knowledge? If you think you could pick the winner of tomorrow night's game and by how many points, there's a dollar amount that you could put to that knowledge. And right now, if you go to mybookie.ag and sign up with promo code Hive as in HIVE, it's on the bottom of the screen, you'll get your first deposit instantly matched all the way up to $1,000. You deposit 1,000, they match you 1,000. Take advantage of this right now and make some money, whether it's who's going to score a touchdown, which, by the way, Christian McCaffrey has scored in 11 straight games. Knock on wood. 11 straight going back to last year. That's like free money. Who do you think is going to have a sack? Which, hint, hint, that's my prop of the game coming up. And by what margin do you think who's going to win? Lock in these bets right now so you could make some money. I finally got the lid off because I was like 0 for 15 to start the year. And then Sunday night, baby, I took the under and I took the Dolphins to win and I hit them both. And I was ecstatic. So here we go. I've never been so ecstatic to make $16 before because I only bet like $5-6 here. But that's all right. It's money, right? So again, mybookie.ag, use promo code Hive, get that first deposit instantly matched all the way up to $1,000. And right now, this is my bookie prop of the game for tomorrow night, Thursday Night Football. Nick Bosa over under 0.5 sacks. This offensive line is depleted. Yeah, hammer that over, guys. He hasn't had a single sack all year. Offensive line diminished, out, and prime time. Nick Bosa is going to eat. Hammer that over. MyBookie.ag, promo code Hive. All right, guys, let's get back with the show. Thanks, MyBookie, for sponsoring the show. What's something that you're keeping a close eye on, Mike? I'm going to toss it back to you in tomorrow night's game.
I actually want to pay attention to the right side of the offensive line. I know a lot of people, their attention is going to be elsewhere, but I want to see what's going on. I keep hearing that Spencer Burford is just terrible this year. I don't recall saying his name outside of penalties in week 1. Last week, I don't remember saying anything. Now, I also noticed that, and I've not charted this, so please, guys, nothing I'm saying is biblical. But I've also noticed the team doing a lot of running to the left side of the offensive line. Maybe they're trying to hide some of the deficiencies over there on the right side. But I just don't feel like Spencer Burford is as bad as what I've been hearing reported by, the PFFs and things like that of the world. And the big concern was the right tackle, not the right guard going into the season. If the right tackle was the big concern and the right guard is playing as terrible as everyone is saying, that right side of the line has to be like, so I'm going to be really, really watching that with a close eye.
Okay. All right. Matt, what's something you're going to be with a close eye on?
Yeah, I'm going to be looking to see what kind of energy level they come out with. It's the home opener, but it is on a short week. And it's against an opponent where at the beginning of the season, you look at it and you're like, oh man, this is going to be a knockdown drag out. But then this was a team that got blown out by 40 against the Cowboys and was down big against the Cardinals team before finally realizing that even with, some of the injuries they've had and some of the bad play, that they should be a better team than the Cardinals. This was a playoff team last year. This is a game that if the 49ers aren't careful, you could see them kind of looking past it to get to the next game. It's hard coming off of a Sunday afternoon game. Now you're playing on Thursday night. It's your home opener, so you want to try to have some energy, but where are you going to garner it from, right? I think the lack of practice time and installing a specific game plan is going to be something to look out for too. The 49ers got to get out there and get business done real quick, get out with a huge lead and run the clock out and just kind of keep it as simple as possible, but come out with energy. You can't come out flat. We talk about trap games. While I don't think this will be a trap game, I think it has potential to be harder than it needs to be. Somebody put out online, and I agree. The energy that people are rolling out there with, hey, you don't need to play Brandon Ayuk for this team, is kind of the same energy that the 49ers had last year when they got blown out by Atlanta. You don't sleep on bad teams. Don't take it for granted that just because you have all the talent in the world that you're going to be able to make it happen. NFL is any given Sunday. They have to come out with energy. They have to take care of business early, get out of the home opener with a victory. Don't tarnish those 94 throwbacks, man.
They're so clean. This comment's killing me. Pardon my wave. Okay, Zach, you need to be on the Today Show. We got to pay some bills. Okay, Matt Lauer. I promise I don't have a remote to close and lock my door, and I'm not getting rubbed off by assistants in here, okay? That man is canceled for a good reason. That's hilarious. Something I'm going to be keeping a close eye on in tomorrow's game is Daniel Jones's legs. Pause. But this man can run, right? and the 49ers defensively have struggled with these mobile quarterbacks, even those that aren't that mobile, but are able to gain some yards. Like we saw Jared Goff when he was still with the Niners, or excuse me, with the Rams against the Niners, burn the Niners with his legs. So Daniel Jones can run. I'm hoping this new defensive coordinator has prepped this team, because it didn't matter if it was Saleh, Ryans, they were getting burned by these running quarterbacks, by these mobile quarterbacks. It's not like it was taking over the game, but they were getting chunk yardage, first downs, continuing drives, because the defense was so good at keeping to their assignment, the receiver, the running back, the tight end, etc., that the quarterback wasn't really included in that plan. So I'm going to be keeping a very, very close eye on that. And I'm hoping the defensive coordinator, Steve Wilkes, has a plan for Daniel Jones, because that shit is frustrating when you got everybody locked up and you just see him sprint for 15 yards and a first down time and time again. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Ooh, all right, guys. That was good things to keep an eye on. If you guys have any of your keys to victory, things to keep an eye on, please throw them in the chat. I'd love to see them. We saw last week. Sorry, I totally just lost my train of thought.
What about the use of the third quarterback? Third wide receiver. Have you got
who?
If it's not Brandon Ayuk, how often do you see three wide receivers on the field? Like if Brandon Ayuk doesn't end up playing, or if he's not, getting significant time, if he's on the sideline, who are you guys expecting to step up in his absence? A lot of people are saying, I want to see more of Ronnie Bell.
Yep.
But then, like, what happened to my man, like, Juwan Jennings? Does he become third? And and then they do McLeod. Like, what three would you guys expect to see if Ayuk doesn't go?
Yeah, I think Bell and Jennings would be next up. No offense to Ray McLeod. I just, as an actual wide receiver, I don't really care that much to see him out there. Ronnie Bell showed a lot in preseason, hasn't really had any meaningful play time with the team. He's gotten a couple snaps here or there, but see what you have. I mean, again, especially against like a more down opponent, right? It's a perfect opportunity to get him out there and see what he can do. Juwan Jennings going to get his. He got it last week, on that pass up the sideline. He's good for, a couple catches a game when you don't expect it. He's like a chain mover. He's a third down guy anyway. He's never been the guy that if Brandon Ayuk is out, or one of these receivers is out, he's never been the guy that they immediately slot on the outside. I just don't think that Juwan Jennings isn't out. I think he's more of a big slot receiver. So I think that Ronnie Bell is somebody that can merit a look based off of what he did in the preseason, but that's up to them to decide. But I fully expect in certain situations that Brandon Ayuk will actually play, get a couple snaps here and there.
Yeah. Gosh, I want to say like Bell was my first thought when you asked that question, but Jennings is just so reliable. And I think Kyle Shanahan is like he trusts Juwan Jennings. And I don't know if Ronnie's earned that yet. So I'm going to say Juwan, but maybe this is opportunity to earn it. Maybe this is opportunity to go out there if Brandon can't, which I think he will, and maybe on a lesser level. But I would say it's between them two. We're going to see a little bit. By the way, this comment, Randy Daytona, running into the law firm or Greenlaw and Warner. Do you guys remember Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis? The law firm just totally reminded me of that name, that old.
Oh, yeah. I remember
was it,
that.
Bengals running back? Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, the law firm.
Yeah. I do think it is a good sign for Ronnie Bell, though, that he has gotten playing time, given Kyle Shanahan's proclivity for not playing rookies ever. The fact that he's gotten some run out there is promising. And the thing about Bell that I think separates him from maybe some of the other rookie wide receivers we've had in the past, Danny Gray had some issues. Even Brandon Ayuk in year 2 had some issues. Effort will never be a thing that you have to worry about Ronnie Bell on. Like, that dude plays hard. So that'll keep him out on the field and get him some opportunities. I would expect to see Ray McLeod mixed in there too, obviously. So it's going to be some amalgamation of Brandon A, on a pitch count, on a snap count, and then Juwan Jennings, Ronnie Bell, and Ray McLeod. Situationally, I think they'll use them in different ways.
Yeah, I think it was Brad Graham of the SF Niners. He posted a clip of Ronnie Bell, and I want to say it was Akello Witherspoon. So Mike, cover your ears. But he's blocking Akello, and blocking him arguably a little bit past the whistle. And he kind of, throws him into the ground and flips him over. And I think he's like trying to get up, and Ronnie Bell's lower half is still on him, and he gets up all pissed off, and he goes to get in Ronnie Bell's face and tell something, and Ronnie Bell just sprints to the sidelines, like not even giving him a chance to talk shit. That was funny. And I he's certainly fitting in. He's one of us, as the guys say. Desmond Ad, Mike.
No, I like the chippiness of the guys. I like that Ahkello Witherspoon wanted to try to make a statement against his former team, and it blew up in his face. As much as I like Ahkello Witherspoon, I like the 49ers more. So that stuff doesn't bother me at all. I will never be cheering for him to even have a good game against my team, because that means we're doing something wrong. So, hey, sorry, buddy. Go be great in the other 16 games, not this one. I want you to suck today. Pause.
This is a good question for Pardon My Wave. Who's going to match up with Waller? Hufanga or who? I think, personally, Fred Warner, they're going to be having a matchup because he's ridiculously good in pass coverage for a inside linebacker. Do you guys have think anybody else? Think it'll be Warner? Think they have Huff?
They don't do a lot of man coverage. They're going to pass him off in between the zones and kind of try to take him out that way. That's just how they typically do things. And Greenlaw and Warner have sideline to sideline coverage skills. I would bet that if anything gets vertical, that they'll pass him off to Hufanga or Gibson. But that'll be a guy, I think, more so than a lot that they'll need to pay attention to, particularly on second and third downs, because if they don't do that, it's going to be a lot of what we saw with the Rams, where he's going to be open underneath, and if they're not, keeping their zones contained and keeping zone integrity, they're going to give up a lot of first downs to a guy like Darren Waller.
Very talented, very talented. Did you guys see that Tashawn Gibson's the only safety not to allow a pass? Or excuse me, it could be not to be targeted. I forget what the stat was. He's the only safety in the NFL.
Yeah, it was targets. And I think 96 pass plays. He hasn't been targeted once. And that went for all safeties, or no, all coverage players with 50 minimum snaps.
Damn.
Yeah, he hasn't been targeted at all. I saw that today. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, very impressive. All right, let's see. Go through any more of the comments. Any questions here? Not seeing any. All right. By the way, shout out to Darren Waller. The guy's story is amazing. I was listening to him. I forget which podcast he was on. It was a clip that came up, and he was talking about how in college he was just so talented that he didn't need to really put in that extra effort. And he was drinking and doing all these drugs. And he's like, I thought when I got to the NFL, that would be like the magic, potion. That would be the solution for me to feel good about myself. And it definitely wasn't. And, he's been very open about his struggles with sobriety. And thankfully he's sober now, but still hope you have a bad game tomorrow, Darren. Nothing personal. All right, let's get into our predictions, unless there's something that I forgot to mention that you guys wanted to discuss in this matchup tomorrow night. Coach, okay, real quick, let's talk about coaching. Daboll beat every other coach, but I was going to say Kyle Shanahan for Coach of the Year last year. Is this one of the few occasions this year where the 49ers are going to be level or even at a disadvantage in coaching? Because a lot of people think very highly of Brian Daboll. What are your thoughts on this?
No. What has Brian Daboll won? Okay, great.
Coach
he was a
of the
great
year.
offensive coordinator. He really helped Josh Allen really mold into what he was going to be. But at the same time, they made the playoffs and then got, they got whooped in the second round or first round or whatever it was. I just don't. I don't know, man. It's too easy to hang your hat on regular season awards, right? He won Coach of the Year, and then people will ride that too. Oh, well, he's better than the guy who's been to 3 NFC Championship games in 4 years. Like that's trash to me. Like a good up and coming coach, but you can't tell me with his resume that he's better than Kyle Shanahan in any way, shape, or form.
I agree with Matt 100%. I'm almost upset that you asked this question, because I was saving this in particular for my pre-game show. I wanted to tell Kyle, hey, send a message. They voted this bum ass dude as Coach of the Year instead of you. Like this was going to be like my pre-game hype speech to the team and to Kyle. Like, go out there and coach circles around him. Make his offense look like nothing. Like, this is your chance. They're injured. They're down. And I want you to stomp them while they're down. Like, this is going to be part of my whole spiel. But no, I think that Kyle has a really good opportunity. And, the excuses aren't going to count. right? When it's all said and done, they're going to look at the record. They're going to say, wow, you lost to the Niners by this many points. They're not going to go through the injury report and say, well, this and this and this and this and this and this. None of that's going to make a difference. So go out there, make a statement, and show the league why they screwed up by picking him over you. You went to the NFC Championship game with using 3 different quarterbacks, and that guy is the one that they voted as coach of the year. No, y'all got me fucked up, and that's the attitude I want Kyle Shanahan to have. So we'll see what happens.
Can we just take a second and reflect? Even in 2019, when the 49ers went from last in the division to first in the division, Kyle Shanahan lost out on coach of the year to, I believe, John Harbaugh. And then last year, doing it with his third string quarterback, getting all the way to, I know it's a regular season award, but still what they did in the regular season, finishing the year on a, 9-game win streak, with your third string quarterback, making him look very good. He still did not win coach of the year. Is it like your team's too talented, so we're taking that? Yeah. They love to use that argument for everything. Purdy's not good because he got a talented team. Kyle's not coach of the year because he got a talented team.
But if there was any year that he should have won it, it should have been last year when he went through 3 quarterbacks in the regular season and still was in, a stone's throw of getting the number 1 seed in the NFC. If that isn't great coaching, what are we talking about here? I just don't understand. I don't understand. Is it because he's not personable? Is it because, he just, he's kind of an asshole or whatever? Be that as it may, you can't tell me that Brian Daboll deserved that award over him last year, given what Kyle Shanahan had to go through at the quarterback position and still managed to come out. I mean, with a guy that is now the starting quarterback. It's amazing to me. I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers locked up the number 1 seed this year, if they gave it to him this year as like a makeup.
It reminds me of, then I'll toss it to you, Mike, but it reminds me of in 2019, not only did he lose out on coach of the year, but Jimmy lost out on comeback player of the year. Jimmy had torn his ACL the year before and then comes back 2019. I believe it's the only year he's ever started an entire season, leads the 49ers to the number 1 seed. I think, Matt, you hit it on the head where it's he's not personable. It's not a good story. For some reason, the media just doesn't get behind him. Mike, did you have any more thoughts on this?
Yeah, you mentioned the Jimmy thing. Matt talked about Kyle and maybe some of the reasons why. And don't forget that Nick Bosa didn't even get a single vote for comeback player of the year. Right. In his comeback season, right? So these kind of awards are it's just weird. And you guys mentioned, using 3 quarterbacks. One of those quarterbacks was literally the last pick in the draft. There had been no Mr. Irrelevant to even attempt a pass in the NFL, not to mention start and win games. What he did was absolutely phenomenal. And if anything, it showed how good of a coach he is, how good of an offensive mind he is. And it just went completely by the wayside. And, it's cool. I hear you guys. It's all ammunition. It's all ammunition. The NFL's already in trouble. This Niners team starting the season 2-0 is the worst thing that could have happened for the rest of the NFL. If there was ever a moment for you guys to take advantage of us, coming off of all this controversy heading into week 1, that was the time. On the road, on the East Coast, different time zone, Brock Purdy coming off of an injury. We hadn't really seen him do too much. That was the opportunity for you guys to pounce and do something. You fucked up now. The Niners are here, and they got to deal with us.
And not only to mention that, this is a Niners team that's looked good in their 2 games when a lot of the other teams haven't looked good. Say what you want. When the Cowboys can look as good as they want, when it comes time to get physical, I still don't think that they can hold up to this team. So you take the Cowboys out of the equation. What about Philadelphia? Jalen Hurts don't look as good this year. And Philadelphia barely beat Minnesota after Minnesota had 4 turnovers and gave up 259 rushing yards, and they still only won by a touchdown. Look at the struggles in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. Look at what happened with Josh Allen week 1. Look at Kansas City not being able to score this year. They only got 17 points against the Jaguars, and the Jaguars aren't a bad team. Don't get me wrong, but you can't tell me that Patrick Mahomes looks, that offense looks the same, right? They lost week 1 to Detroit. Detroit loses a heartbreaker to Seattle, who dropped a home game by 17 to the Rams that we just dominated. And you're still going to give this team motivation, and you're still going to give this team, something to put on their bulletin board to get mad about. I agree with Mike, man. They're in trouble, man.
Yeah.
The rest of the NFL looks like it's coming down to earth, and it looks like the 49ers are peaking. If they can stay healthy, this could be their year big time.
Yeah. So the Cowboys beat Daniel Jones and Zach Wilson, and I love how everyone's like, this is the best team in the NFL. Look, they have a top 2 defense. If it's not the 49ers, it's the Cowboys. If it's not the Cowboys, it's the 49ers, in my opinion. But offensively,
hey, by the way, in that 40-0 game, how many passing yards did Dak Prescott have?
Yeah, exactly.
It was like 13 of 24 for like 140 yards.
Yeah. And then people say, but you didn't need to. It's hilarious to me how that passes up a 49ers team that looks to be complete on all ends. All right, we got some questions here. Are we confident in Isaiah Oliver now? I'll say I'm more so confident than I was before. I'm not overly confident in him. Nope. You guys are both saying no.
I would say that he had a good game, but he needs to stack good games, and then it'll become a trend, and then my confidence will build. Right? It's you can always do something once, but can you repeat that over and over and over again? That's what we need to see, particularly because we're signing people like Trey Swilling and we're signing people like Anthony Brown because we have problems in the secondary. I know we went over the injury report earlier and you didn't really bring him up, but Samuel Womack did go to IR with the knee injury. Ambry Thomas still dealing with his own injury that he's expected to play, but who knows what that's going to look like, right? I think, was it Lenore was evaluated for a concussion, I believe.
Yeah, but he cleared, though. He's clear.
Yeah, he's clear, but still, this is a position that was thin to begin with, and now it's even more thin now. So the impetus, and by the way, Womack was who Oliver was competing with in that slot position. So the road is clear for you, but now you got to show what you can do, and you have to stack a good game on top of a good game. I don't want to see that inconsistent up and down stuff because, you know, a lot of people like Josh Norman when he was here, and he would have 2 forced fumbles or whatever, but then get cooked the next week. I don't care about what you do one game if the next game you go back to being a scrub. You got to build on top of this performance and show why Steve Wilkes handpicked you to come here on that contract.
Yep.
All right. Next question. Do we think Jordan Mason will get any fourth quarter burn if the score is not close? I'd hope so. But that preseason fumble, I feel like got him locked back in the cage. He was just out, and Kyle grabbed him right by the back of the collar, threw his ass back in, and locked the door. It's unfortunate. All right. Pardon my way. The NFL doesn't like us as an organization. That's been doing great. We've been getting more primetime. We just getting primetime news. It was quiet for years. All right. We're going to do our predictions here. But before we do, let's do our chat pack first. I didn't forget it this time. That's what I was doing in the past 5 minutes, picking a good one. So chat pack time. You guys are more than welcome to answer your own questions in the chat. So today's chat pack is, you've heard the expression, they couldn't pay me enough to do that job. What job would be that for you? I have a few already off the top of my head.
Bro, I've got so many. I got so many jobs that I wouldn't do.
Could not pay you enough.
Could not pay me enough. Yep.
I'll go first. Okay. It's tough because there's a lot, obviously, but the one I think of is, and I don't even know what the job is, but I've seen these dudes having to go down in like sewers type, you know, like those little like storage areas. I don't know if it's for PG&E. I don't know if it's for sewage, but the amount of bugs and spiders and roaches that are just crawling all over them as they're doing this job. And they've been doing it for so long that they're not even fazed by it. They're just proceeding as normal. I don't care how manly I think I am. I would be tiptoe dancing out of there like a cartoon character. Fuck that. I would not be able to do that job, man. I see some of the comments. Cool Breeze, roofing. I'm from Florida. Yeah, screw that. I hear you on that. Our guy Ali, work on skyscrapers. Matt, what's your go
ahead, Mike.
No, I was gonna say I've seen like videos from like the 50s of guys like just working on the skyscrapers and all that stuff, and they're walking on these planks way up there like it's nothing. Like I don't think I'm built to do stuff like that. I also wouldn't want to be a parachute tester. I'm sure they don't do it with humans, but I wouldn't want to be responsible for a faulty parachute. So it's not just about making sure that they work, like, oh, let me jump out of a plane and test this one out, right? But I wouldn't want to just, be responsible if I find out like I approved something that was, a direct result of someone else's death. Like, it's just work. It's a workplace incident. That's crazy.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, hoarder clearance operative. Those are the people that go in after a hoarder dies and has to go through all the shit in their house and clear it out. All the old nasty stuff. And you could chalk that up to other jobs like roadkill collector, the people that work in the roadkill, the dude that like cleans up in the slaughterhouse after, all the animals get processed, like all that stuff. That's man, that's not for me. I'm not into those super dirty jobs. And it's funny because like I work in one where it is a lot of that, like that kind of stuff, but it's temporary. You know what I mean? Like they're just in it every day. If you got to wear like rubber overalls and fucking knee-high boots to get through your day, it's not a good day for you, my friend.
Yeah. I've seen like those people that come up and clean up after crime scenes, or like somebody died in their apartment and they didn't have any families, just nobody knew, and they like melted into the floor and they have to go in there and clean it up. Oh, it looks so disgusting. And I have a lot of respect for people that do that, because no thank you. Roberto, PG&E crew that uses helicopters to fix interstate transmission lines hundreds of feet in the air.
I also got one more for you guys, not to get political or anything, but it seems like being Donald Trump's lawyer would be a pretty shitty job too.
Hopefully you get paid well.
Couldn't pay me enough, bro.
That's true. That's the question.
The check might bounce anyway.
All right. All right, let's get into these predictions. If you guys are new here and you don't know, by the way, if you're new, hit like, hit subscribe. I better be 1,000 likes on this video for the end of the night, or somebody's gonna get hurt. So 1,000 likes. All right. Predictions. If you're new here, if you get the final score prediction correct, we will send you merch. So type it in. If you're seeing this after we've aired, leave a comment. You could tweet it at us. Our handles are on the screen. Please do. All right, let's start with offensive MVP. I'm going to go first since I'm already on the big screen. And I mentioned him earlier, George Kittle. I think the easy answer, we all know, but I'm going to go with George. I think he's going to have a big game. Last Thursday night, he shined brightly against the Seahawks. That was actually just found out I had COVID that day last year, but yeah, sorry, just coming back to that. But he shines on Thursday night. So George Kittle, and I'm going to say he's going to have 6 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown. And that's going to be, his kind of coming out party for the year. Matt, I'm going to toss it to you first.
Yeah, all the talk 2 weeks ago was about how Brock Purdy was the first NFL quarterback to, win his first 6 starts and throw 2 touchdowns in each of them. He didn't have any touchdown passes this last week. I think he makes up the difference and throws for 4 touchdown passes against the New York Giants this week.
4?
4.
All right. Love it. Mike?
I want to. Am I allowed to take the same as someone you guys said already?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going with George Kittle. I'm definitely going to go with George Kittle. At least I think I am, right? So Zach Ertz was the leading receiver for the Cardinals last week. And I think that George Kittle is head and shoulders better than he is. And if that was their problem guy, then absolutely we're going to be able to do something there. So I'm going to go with George Kittle.
Okay. All right. By the way, you got this nice comment from VZ408. Mike, you're a real one, man. I love your takes. Now you put things in perspective, bro. For real. Don't ever change. Keep doing you, man.
Respect. Thank you very much, man.
All right, guys. Defensive MVP now. And again, I named him earlier, and I'm taking the easy ones. I'm surprised I haven't seen CMC that much in the chat. But I'm going to go with Nick Bosa. I took the over on 0.5 sacks. I think he's going to hit it. I think Nick Bosa, he's going to finally, I don't want to say show up because he's been effective. He just hasn't had a stat yet. And I'm going to say Nick Bosa, 2 sacks against Daniel Jones tomorrow night. Matt, who you got?
Bro, you just ride my coattails. Nick Bosa, 3 sacks and a forced fumble. You know what it is, baby. Every single week until it happens in front of my eyes and I can come talk about it.
I hate to disappoint you, gentlemen, but it's going to be neither Nick Bosa or Fred Warner. I know you guys mentioned him earlier. It's going to be Dre Greenlaw this week. Dre Greenlaw is going to be doing way more coverage of Darren Waller in this game than people expect him to, and he is going to excel. He's going to have 2 PBUs, potentially a pick, but he's going to force at least 2 turnovers. Dre Greenlaw for the dub, baby.
Damn, all right. So looks like, Mike, you're predicting the streak of 2 turnovers per game is going to continue. 2 against Pitt, 2 against the Rams, 2 tomorrow night. Okay.
I told you guys I want 40 this year. I wasn't kidding. I like it is. Listen, if we keep scoring at the clip that we're scoring, teams aren't going to have a choice. The only bad thing, I'm doing air quotes, the only bad thing about the Rams game is that they were in it for most of the time. Like, let's get these points early and then force them to start throwing. And it's really going to be easy then. You know what I'm saying? So do like what we did against the Steelers, and the picks will come earlier on in the game. The team will get really hyped. That momentum snowballs. And the next thing you know, it's not just 2 picks a game. It's not just 2 turnovers. All of a sudden it's 3, 4, maybe 5 even, you know? So I think this team can do it. So we're going to be there, man. 40. You watch what I'm telling you.
Okay. All right. I love it. All right. Final score predictions. Just let me change this banner real quick. Comment your final score. I see some of you guys already have, but again, if you get it correct, we will send you some free merch. Tweet it at us. The only requirement is once the game has started, you cannot send it to us any longer. You cannot comment any longer because that's just cheating. All right. Final score prediction. The 49ers, like I said earlier, per my bookie, are favored by 10 points going into tomorrow night. That is a heavy spread. And I think they cover, baby. Give me the 49ers 35-13. They're going to beat some ass tomorrow night. Matt, who do you got?
Giants sucked before the Saquon Barkley injury and before the injuries to their line. I do agree. Kyle Shanahan's going to get in his bag. How dare you give that bum ass coach of the year over me? I like how you put that, Mike. Kyle's going to show Brian Dable what's up. This 49ers team is too talented. They're going to come out hot in those clean 1994 uniforms. It's the home opener. It's prime time. 49ers 41, Giants 9.
I love it.
I just remembered about those 94. We don't do well in those, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think history's on our side wearing these throwbacks, but I think we're going to be okay. Shout out to Melissa. She had one of the first comments. She said she can't stay, but she did put her score prediction in here. I hope it's not the same, but I had something, I think what was close to her. I'm going to go 37-17. Niners win by 20.
Bro, she said 49-3.
Oh, shit. Okay.
She's closer to me, bro. 41-9. That's what I'm going with.
Shout out, Melissa. All right, guys, this is going to be a good game. I believe we're planning to go live Friday since it'll be late tomorrow night once the game's over. So come back and check out the show. Mike, when are you going live for the recap?
We are going live right after the game. I told Wayne that we would do a mashup show, so I'm with it. If you guys want to jump on, please let me know immediately after the game. We're going to be going live, and I'm hoping to get it done at a decent time because I do unfortunately have work in the morning. If I'm sober enough to drive, I'll be going to work in the morning.
You're crazy, dude. That's so late for you. I don't know how you do it. How you do it.
I do have a bold prediction really quick though for tomorrow.
Please.
It's going to sound super crazy. Sam Darnold with a touchdown pass. That's it.
Like in relief because the 49ers are up so much. Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. All right. I like it. That is a bold prediction. Again, guys, mybookie.ag, promo code Hive. Please go sign up. Get that first deposit matched up to $1,000. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Our handles are on the screen. Please go and follow us. You can follow the podcast at RGS Pod. And if you're tuning in on YouTube, this is your first time checking out the show, hit like, hit subscribe. We bring you content like this all the time. Mike, as always, thank you for joining. It's always a blast having you on. With that said, Matt, you want to carry us out?
Absolutely. Short week, so let's keep this short and sweet. 49ers are going to go in there and dominate. Let's move on to the next 3-0, baby. Here we come. Thank you, as always, everyone, for joining us. And until next time, go Niners.